Welcome back to the O Hockey Show, where I, once again, am throwing my hat into the ring and going to give you my take on the next season of the NHL. So, today we're talking about the Central Division. I've already talked about the Metro. I've already talked about the Atlantic. I've got two left. And right now we're talking about the Central Division. Last we'll have the Pacific, and then we will have the super early Stanley Cup predictions. So, going off of my, whatever it's called here, my predictions here. So, let's just jump right into it today. And with my nice game show host look, we're going to jump right into it. So, at number 8 for the Central Division, I have placed, the Chicago Blackhawks. So, for me, I think the Blackhawks are going to end up in 8th or 7th, depending on if they trade away Kane and Taves. If they trade away Kane and Taves, they're 8th. If they don't, I could see them ending up in 7th. But regardless, they're going to be at the bottom of the division. There's no way this is the type of team that has no chance of having a crazy random season. This is a team that has gotten rid of all their young talent, their decent goaltender. And I don't really, this team has done everything backwards, and everyone already knows that this team is doing everything the wrong way. It's every step that they should take, so it's okay, we gotta rebuild for the future. Our old guys are getting old. We've already lost most our core. Keith's gone, all that. Kane's, this is his, last year on his deal, I think. Jonathan Taves is already saying he doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild. What should we do? Let's get rid of the old guard. We already have some young talent. We've got DeBrincat and we've got Doc. What do we do? And they're like, I got it. Get rid of those guys. That'll change everything. No one will see that coming. You're right. No one did see it coming because it makes absolutely no sense. But what do you get in return for those guys? Absolutely nothing useful, especially for Alex DeBrincat. Somehow, the DeBrincat trade is worse than the Kirby Doc trade, and DeBrincat is going to be a superstar. So, that makes absolutely no sense. This team's going to easily be at the bottom of the league and the division. It makes absolutely no sense. So, and then I can't imagine how bad the team's going to be if they get rid of Kane and Taves. I mean, this could literally be the worst team ever in the league. With who they have left, they lost Kubalik too. This team could literally be the worst team that has ever existed. So, it's an interesting tactic that they're going to be taking for the Blackhawks. So next up, at number 7, the Arizona Coyotes. Oh, God. There we go. Oh, God. Oh, dear. Oh, jeez. You can't see it anyways. So, the Arizona Coyotes. So, the Coyotes obviously still bad. They haven't really done anything to improve the team. However, they're building for the future. And, of course, I'm biased somewhat. But for me, the Coyotes they're going in the right direction finally for the future. They're finally doing the right stuff that they should have been doing all these years, except they've wasted all away, which I'm going to make a whole video on how they could be one of the best teams in the league. However, they just seem to squander every single chance they get to try to actually make themselves better. So, they're finally building up with Cooley and Geeky and it's not Lamoureux, it's whatever his name was. Also Dylan Guenther, the Soderstrom coming up, Barrett Hayton. This team could easily be one up here in the top, at least 4, soon in the next couple years. I would say maybe next year they end up at maybe they could get to 6th, and then I think maybe the year after that they could finally get into 4-3 territory. So I think they have high hopes for the future. This is going to be another bad year, but they're finally coming off of those bad contracts. They actually have $23 million in cap space. They're the second most cap open team in the entire league behind the Anaheim Ducks. So this team could, next season, when Cooley and Geeky make the squad, Barrett Hayton's finally NHL ready, Soderstrom can jump up, and Dylan Guenther. Once those guys are all ready, once they can actually go out and pay for some free agents, bring some people in, and have a pretty decent squad to put on the ice, eventually when they get to Tempe as well. So, it's an interesting time for the Coyotes. I think this is probably going to be their last terrible year, and I think they could probably be at least somewhat not, I don't want to say decent, but whatever the right word is, they're going to be actually some sort of menace, some sort of threat to teams, and I think this is going to be the final year that they're absolutely terrible. So, Coyotes 6th, but that's not a bad thing. They're not trying to be good. And they're finally making the right moves, unlike the team right below them. Next up at number 6, if you couldn't read the name before, the Dallas Stars. Now the Stars for me, I'm going off of what I'm trying to predict for this team. Right now they don't have Ottinger or Robertson signed to deals. And in my mind, I do think they do have some cap space, but I feel like they're going to have to lose one of those guys. And I think to get Robertson, they're going to have to pay a little bit more. I mean, he got 79 points this year. So what is that? That's like what? At least $7-8 million because he's still young and he's gonna he's gonna get better. So they're gonna have to lose one of those guys and go. And if they lose Ottinger, it's not like he really played the whole season anyways. And I feel like they got to keep him, the Robertson over Ottinger. So I'm just going off of what I think. They're gonna have to lose one of the big pieces there. So I'm going to go and say that they're going to lose some form of skill and talent in Ottinger or have to trade away a player to keep someone. So I think the Stars are going to go down this year. I don't think they're going to be absolutely terrible. I think from 6 up is where teams are actually doing somewhat decent, kind of like in the 80 points and up territory where they're not terrible. They could, if they had a little bit more skill and talent, they could have made the playoffs. I think the Stars are right there on the verge of making it. I think the Stars are just, because they don't have Robertson or Ottinger signed a superstar goaltender and their superstar player, they're kind of stuck where they're going to have to lose something. They're going to have to lose something to either sign both of them. If they're going to sign both of them, they got to give something up. And if they sign Robertson, I think they're going to lose Ottinger, I think. And I don't know. It's interesting. But the thing is, if you trade Ottinger away, they could bring in someone else. So I don't know. It's kind of like a weird territory right now for the Dallas Stars. But then you've also got old guys like Pavelski, who I love, but he's getting up there, and you don't know when he could start falling off. So and Tyler Sagan's not getting any better, and neither is Jamie Benn. So it's kind of like, I don't know. The Stars seem to be ready to start falling off before they get better. I think before things are going to get better for them, they're going to have to go down. Just like how stock market, just how like everything says. Before the good, there has to be the bad. So I think this is the storm that's going to happen. I think they're going to learn some sort of lesson from this season. They're going to give something up and try to get better next season. So the Stars are at 6, but I think they're going to jump back next year. So at number 5, we've got... Oh, God. This is the stupidest system I've ever come up with. Damn it. The Winnipeg Jets. So, the Winnipeg Jets are a team that have some really good pieces. I mean, they got Dubois, they've got Scheifele, Connor, Blake Wheeler. On defense, they've got Pionk and Morrissey. And in goal, they have one of the best goalies in the league in Connor Hellebuck. But for me, this team, I feel like it's going to reek of the same thing that happened last season, where they're going to kind of just... I feel like this team is pushed out by who's above them. Everyone above them are top teams in the league, especially the top. I would say the top 3. Number 4 could be a little iffy for me, but I feel like everyone else here in the top 4 is like they're just better than the Winnipeg Jets at what they do. I said it in their video, is that the Jets they couldn't score, and they were mediocre at scoring and in the bottom half of keeping the puck out of their own net. So for me, the Winnipeg Jets, they're just everything that they do, these teams do better than them. So that's really all it comes down to. Because when I say they have Mark Scheifele, I can say the same thing about the team at number 4. It's just they have Kirill Kaprizov, who did make it back home. So that's all I got to say. So at number 4, we've got the Minnesota Wild. Go back. So the Minnesota Wild are Now, it might be surprising that they're at 4, but they lost Kevin Fiala, who I'm pretty sure was their second points guy on the team. So that's a pretty big gap they're taking out. And for me, I like Ryan Hartman. I do think he's going to be great, but I feel like he's not going to be as I think last year was like his year where he broke out, and guys that break out in those type of years don't usually get back to that. And I mean they could get back to it, but I don't think he's gonna get back I don't think he's gonna get to Fiala's spot. So they lost like their second guy for points for points. So that's a pretty big gap to fill in that they haven't really, because they don't have any cap space. They couldn't. It was impossible for them to have that. So they've lost him. And I think that's just going to knock them down a peg. And the team I have above them, I just feel like seems like it's a year for them they're going to strike. So the Wild, and also someone like Marc-Andre Fleury I love Fleury, but I feel like this could be another year where he could maybe fall off. And maybe these older guys, I mean, Fleury's old. I mean, he's what is he, like 39 or something? Like, I mean, he is getting there where they signed him for 2 years, which I guess is a good deal for him. But I feel like, I mean, with their defense, though, like, they could win. I mean, I have them at 4, and I do think they'll get a wild card spot. The Wild are getting a wild card, and I'm pretty 100% sure they'll make it to the playoffs. But I just think these 3 teams above them are just going to have a better better season. I think the teams are above them are better. So, at number 3, we have... God, this is the stupidest thing ever thought of. The Nashville Predators. So, the Predators are a good team. They re-signed Philip Forsberg this offseason. And just looking at their lineup, I mean, they have a guy in Roman Josi on defense. I mean, when I look at the Nashville Predators, I see a absolutely stacked team that is just having troubles. If they didn't have to run into the Colorado Avalanche last season, they would have at least won a series. I think if they played against... I don't know what happened. I don't know how they ended up in a wild card spot down here. I don't know how it's possible. Because looking at them, this is a way better team all on paper than the Wild, then maybe not the Blues. But this is an incredible team with Forsberg. I mean, you got guys jumping out like Jeannot. You've also got guys like Tolvanen that could totally make a name for themselves. Guy last year, UC Saros, made a name for himself. Defensively, they're stacked. Offensively, they're stacked. Goaltending, they now have Lincoln and Saros, so they have 2 pretty good goaltenders in net. This is a team that is primed to have a run. This is a team that is not giving up. Every year it seems like, write them off, but they just keep coming back, and I think this is going to be a year where they're going to finally strike, and they're going to show that they are the Predators that went to the playoffs so many years ago. I think for me, I think they just need either one more offensive talent. No, I think what they really need is one more defensive, offensive defenseman. That's what I really think this team needs. They need one more guy to get put back there and really move the puck. They need a guy on that second line pairing, I don't know who the right player is, but someone like an Erik Karlsson, obviously not Erik Karlsson, but that type of player to really make that offensive threat, but also have such good defense. And I think the Predators overall are going to be a fantastic team this year. So don't be surprised if they are really good. I really believe the Predators are going to have a amazing season this upcoming year. So, at number 2, we've got the St. Louis Blues. Oh, whatever. So the St. Louis Blues, to me, were probably the best team to probably take down the Avalanche last year. I think the Lightning were the best other team to play them, but the St. Louis Blues, to me, are stacked. They're what the Nashville Predators are, but I think maybe a little bit better. And that's why I have the Predators down here, is that the teams above them are what they are, but better. So the Blues are just so much more stacked all the way down, and they've also got guys scratched that I think they could go in, like Perunovich. This team, I think their only problem is defense, but their defense is a pretty solid, defensively minded defense, and they don't really need to drive points. And Bennington and their offense and defense, the Blues just have everything going down for them that I can't see them not getting in the second spot. Or maybe, no, not first. There's no way the top team's not going to get first. But the Blues are just such a strong team that I think they really are a cup contender. The Blues just have everything going for them. Now, there are rumors that Tarasenko could be leaving, which would probably knock them down a peg. But I could totally see them, I think, getting in the second or third spot. They're definitely making the playoffs, at least. But I slot them at number 2 because I think certain guys like Ryan O'Reilly, I just think guys like Robert Thomas, they're just going to just come back up. I mean, Buchnevich, too. I mean, this team is just so great. I mean, they lost a guy in David Perron, but they didn't really need him because they still have so much offense that I think they need to try and get a really good defenseman back there. I don't think Nick Leddy was the guy. They should have went for someone else, like John Klingberg would have been awesome for this team, but he's already signed to the Ducks. So I think this team just needs a little bit more boost to their defense, and they could be strapped for a playoff run. And for the top spot, which we all know is coming, is the Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche are still the top team in the league. Maybe not the top, but at least top 3. This team is going to end up in the top 3 of the league, whether it's Florida in front of them, Tampa Bay, or who knows, the Oilers. The Avalanche are just so good, and I think this might be the year, their final year to be good, because well, at the same time, I do have my doubts about some guys like Lekin and like Valeri Nichushkin. I like Josh Manson. I don't really think he's a risky gamble, but guys like Nichushkin and Lekkinen are like, one season, really one playoff run where they're good. Don't really know if that's really 8 years worthy to be paid. And now this upcoming year, they got to sign Nathan MacKinnon, which reports are that he's getting $13.5 million, which is almost exactly what I predicted he would get, which is absolutely insane, and I don't think he's worth. So, I don't know. This could be the final year. The Avalanche are pretty good. Or, what happens, let's just say Lekkinen and Nichushkin don't perform to their standard of what they want them to play at. What happens to this team? I mean, it's just, on paper, it seems like the Avalanche are going to be just tight. This team, this year, at least this year, this could, I think in my mind, is their final year to be absolutely dominant. I think after this year, next season could be a year where, since they have to sign MacKinnon, they're going to have to lose something. And then I think in the year after next, they have to sign Rantanen. So things are going to start turning really interesting, probably falling off for the Avalanche in the upcoming years. But this is the year, still in their prime, still got guys like Newhook on the lineup. They've got basically almost the entire team still. Well, actually, no, they don't, because they've lost a lot of guys. So, especially without Kadri, I don't know. This team, I have at least in the top 2 of this division, but I'm pretty sure they're solidly put at number 1 for the Central Division. There's nothing stopping them. Other than, I don't know, still things seem uncertain for me because they got a lot of question marks, but I don't see a world where the Blues or the Predators could overcome the Avalanche. But maybe certain guys don't perform, but I highly doubt it. But this is my rankings of just Central Division. I gotta find a better way to do this. The Central Division, we got the Blackhawks at 8th. No surprise. The Coyotes at 7th. Probably going to get better next year. Dallas Stars, because they're going to have to lose someone. Winnipeg, because everything is great about them, but teams do better. The Wild lost Fiala, so they're at 4th. Predators, it just seems like they're primed for a run. The Blues, because they're just so stacked everywhere. And the Avalanche, because they're just that good. So that's all I have to say about the Central Division and the predictions of which division I just stated. So please pick up your free subscription down below by hitting that red subscribe button. If you like this video, leave a like, not a dislike. You can go down below to the comment section and tell me how wrong I am and tell me what you would do differently. Personally, I feel confident in this. I have more I'm kind of biased towards certain teams like the Predators and the Blues, and I don't really like the Avalanche that much, so I really would like to put them down below, but it just wouldn't seem right, and I feel like people would get really mad. So I put them there, but I could see the Blues getting that first spot. But anyways, tell me how wrong I am below, and until next time, I have been the dapperly dressed for these videos, Owen. Too sweet, and ta-ta for now.